It's 4:12 a.m. You aren't just standing in a back alley, you're dissolving into it. The air in the Heliconia district is thick, tasting like rusted iron and the cheap diesel exhaust of passing buses. You're 19, and the only thing keeping your heart from beating out of your chest is the cold weight of a Smith Wesson tucked into your waistband. It's an old piece. The chrome is peeling and the grip smells like the sweat of the 3 desperate men who owned it before you. You've been standing behind a stack of rotting produce crates for 3 hours. Every time a stray dog barks or a distant siren wails, your hand twitches. You're waiting for Diego. Diego isn't a boss, he's just a mid-level earner who made the mistake of thinking he was untouchable. The door to the El Paraíso Club swings open. You hear the music for a split second, a heavy reggaeton beat that feels like a heartbeat. Diego steps out. He's wearing a white linen shirt that looks like it cost more than your mother's house. He stops to light a cigarette. The flame of his lighter illuminates his face for a second. He looks bored. He has no idea that death is standing 5 feet away, smelling like rain and adrenaline. You step out. You don't say a word. In the movies, they give a speech. In reality, your throat is too tight to even breathe. You pull the trigger. The kickback jolts your arm, and the sound is flat, swallowed by the humidity. Diego doesn't fly backward. He just deflates, like a puppet with its strings cut. He hits the pavement with a wet thud. You stand over him. You look at his gold chain, half hidden by the blood pooling on his collar. You realized the second truth of the streets. A man's life is only worth the effort it takes to move his body. Then the car appears, a black, armored Suburban, no lights. It stops right next to the body. The window slides down just 2 inches. You don't see a face, only the tip of a glowing cigar and the smell of expensive, aged leather. The boy has discipline, a voice says. It's a dry, raspy voice, like sandpaper on wood. But discipline without a path is just a waste of a good soldier. Get in, son. We're going to teach you how to make the world bleed without ever touching a gun again. You get in. The air inside is freezing. The AC is cranked to the max. As the car pulls away, you look back at Diego's body shrinking in the distance. You didn't just kill a man. You killed the boy you were at 4:11 a.m.
Fast forward 12 years. You've learned that the loudest man in the room is the weakest. You are now the architect. You don't handle the white powder, you handle the math. You're sitting in a high-rise in Panama City looking at shipping manifests. You explain the magic to the viewer. You aren't smuggling, you are innovating. You tell them about the black cocaine, a chemical process where you mix the product with charcoal and iron particles. It looks like industrial fertilizer. It smells like fertilizer. Even the DEA's best dogs walk right past it. It's only when it reaches a quiet warehouse in Rotterdam that your chemists wash it with acetone, bringing back the snow-white crystals. You describe the feeling of moving 50 tons of product across 3 oceans without firing a single shot. It's a high better than any drug. It's the feeling of being the invisible hand moving the world's economy. But your boss, the man from the car, has grown old. He's become paranoid. He starts executing his own drivers because he had a bad dream about them. He's bringing heat. You realize that a leader who fears his own shadow is a liability. You describe the dinner, the last dinner. You're at his private ranch. The smell of charcoal grilled steak is heavy in the air. You watch him eat, knowing that the heart medication you gave his maid to put in his drink will take effect in exactly 2 hours. You talk to him about the future, about the roots, about the glory. You look him in the eyes and smile, while his heart is slowly being instructed to stop. When he drops his fork and clutches his chest, you don't call for help. You just finish your wine. You watch the light leave his eyes and realize the crown isn't passed down, it's harvested.
Now you are the Patriarch. You are 50, and your name is whispered like a ghost story by the directors of the CIA. You live in a fortress of glass and steel. You have 32 screens in your office. You can see the thermal signature of a bird on your perimeter fence. You describe the price. You haven't touched a door handle or a steering wheel in a decade. Someone always does it for you. You are a king, but you are also a prisoner. Your food is tested by a lab technician before it reaches your plate. Your friends are men you pay to stay loyal, and your enemies are men you haven't paid enough yet. You talk about your daughter. She's 18, studying art in Florence. She thinks you're a retired telecom tycoon. Every time you talk to her on the encrypted satellite phone, you have to lie. You hear her laugh, and you feel like a man standing on a thin sheet of ice. If she ever found out that her tuition was paid for in the blood of 3,000 families, the ice would shatter. Then comes the betrayal. Your right-hand man, the one who knows where the ledgers are buried, has been seen entering a safe house in Bogota. You don't send a hit squad. That's for amateurs. You send a picture of his grandmother's house to his phone. Then you send a picture of the school his son attends. He comes to you that night, shaking, weeping. He begs for mercy. You sit there, shrouded in the smoke of your cigar, and you don't feel anger. You only feel boredom. You tell him that he will go back to the DEA, and he will tell them exactly what you want them to hear. He will be your puppet until the day you decide he has no more strings left. You realize that power isn't the ability to kill. It's the ability to make a man wish he were dead.
The end comes not with a bang, but with a realization. The world has changed. The new kids use encrypted apps and drones. They don't respect the old codes. They record their crimes for likes. They are making the business too loud. You decide to vanish. You describe the erasure. You spend 6 months transferring billions into untraceable crypto cold wallets. You hire a surgeon to shave your jawline and alter your eyelids. You burn your fingerprints with acid. You stage the end, a massive explosion at your seaside villa. The authorities find dental remains that match yours. The Patriarch is dead. The news goes global. The final scene. You are in a small town in Arizona. You're wearing a blue vest, working at a massive hardware store. Your name tag says Arthur. You're stocking shelves with boxes of nails and hammers. The air smells like sawdust and air freshener. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever smelled. You see a news report on the break room TV. A young man, barely 20, has been named the new head of the cartel. He's flashing guns and stacks of cash on a private jet. You look at his eyes and see the same 19-year-old kid in the rain from Chapter 1. You walk back to your aisle. You pick up a heavy box.
Your hands, the hands that moved empires and signed death warrants, are now calloused from honest labor. You realize the final truth. Every king eventually becomes a peasant. The lucky ones are the ones who get to choose which peasant they become. You clock out. You drive a beat-up pickup truck to a small apartment. You drink a cheap beer and watch the sunset. You are the man behind the most feared cartels in history, and you are finally, for the first time in your life, nobody.